Kia ora, bros and girls. Welcome back to the channel. We're doing another tape breakdown of Invisible Woman. Now, as you know, in these tape breakdowns, I kind of take the runs that we've had, and I try to analyze a little bit of what I did right, what I did wrong, and how to get at Invisible Woman. Invisible Woman is pretty hard to one-shot. There's a fair bit of like RNG involved as well. But I've had a few good runs here, and the first thing to understand, there's a few things to understand. She's quite a complex character actually, but there's a few things to understand. And one of them is that she starts the fight with a force field, and this force field is basically like a 4,000 HP shield that she has. So while she's got that force field on, any damage that you do, the force field will take 90% of that, and she'll only take 10. So it will look like for a while you're doing no damage, like 100 damage or 69. The thing is, you can't deactivate the force field, but you can destroy it by damaging the force field. So what I'm gonna highlight here is, if you have a look in the top right, there's a blue circle and it's got some numbers on it, right? Like it's 100, now it's 63, and as I'm hitting into her, that's dropping. That drops to 61, and it will continue dropping. And then it will go yellow, and then it will go red, and then it will go gray. And when it's gray, that force field is down. So as you can see, it's yellow there, it's 25. Wait for a little intercept. 20, now it's going to go red, now it's invisible. And at this point here, the force field is down, and I can just do normal damage. As you can see, now I'm back from doing 100 damage a hit to like 4,000 crits, 2,500, 17,000. So now all of a sudden, she's open, and she's actually got also reduced physical resistance when the force field is not on. So you can actually do a tremendous amount of damage, but you have to get past the force field. And the way to get past the force field is to damage and destroy her, and to destroy it. Right. So now she's got it back on. It's back at 100%, and you'll see soon if I actually go into her. So I'll evade this. If I go in and hit her again, I'm doing bugger all damage. Right. 200 when I was doing 4,000. But I have destroyed that force field, so I can go again. The second thing you're going to have to figure out is that she can go invisible, and the invisibility generally it will only last for a couple of seconds. So then after a couple of seconds, she's going to come out of the invis, and you can attack her again. It will also get disabled if she dodges something. So if you try to hit her and she evades, I think, or if she throws a special as well, she has to come out of invis. In my testing, I found that sometimes you'll throw a special or something, and you break the shield and knock her down maybe at the same time, and somehow she gets into a state where she is constantly invisible. Like the force field is maybe up, and somehow she's triggered the invisibility, and then she'll stay invisible, and you can't parry her out of that. You can't hit her out of that. If you knock her down, sometimes she'll come out of it, or sometimes she'll attack you and come out of it, but generally she'll tend to just stay there. And if you get into that run, then good luck. I mean, that's just a wasted fight. It's happened to me a couple of times, but yeah, most of the time she will go invisible, and then you just kind of wait for a couple of seconds or so, and she'll come out of the invisibility, and it's all on. The next thing is, the third thing is the buffet node. So the buffet means she's got regen, and means that she's going to get rid of your first parry all the time, or your first debuff. So you have to be quite aware of that, because sometimes you're going to get clipped a couple of times, or if you're trying to use like Archangel or Void or something like that, then the first debuff will tend to go. So you've got to remember that, and the fact that she will regen quite a bit from the buffet. So ideally you want champs that are going to come in here and do a ton of damage really quickly. So a few strategies that people have used, that I've seen other people use, I haven't used them personally because I don't have these guys in high enough level, is using Void or Archangel. If you have Archangel, you can, with a bit of RNG and a little bit of skill, you can get a couple of neurotoxins on, 2 or 3 neurotoxins, and that will shut down not only her regen, but also shut down the Buffett node. And all of a sudden, you can just, it takes a little bit of time to get your first 3 on, first 3 neurotoxins, and then after that, it just becomes parry heavy, parry heavy, parry heavy all day long. And yeah, and it becomes a straightforward fight. Void could work as well, but again, Buffett shaking off some of the debuffs might be a little bit annoying, so you might have to be a little bit more skillful with your play there. There is a Sabertooth synergy that allows you to play around, I think, Buffett and Masochism, but I'm not super familiar with it because I don't really use Sabertooth. I don't really have him at a high enough level to be very well acquainted with him. So kind of all my strategies have revolved around Star-Lord and Corvus Glaive, with a little bit of Captain Marvel and a little bit of Aegon thrown in there for good effect. So none of these are really one-shots, apart from the very first attempt in the video with Star-Lord. I didn't have very good runs with my Archangel. It is very RNG dependent. But you know, until you mess up, it is a viable option. And if you have a high enough, like if you have a maxed out 4-star Archangel or 5-star R3 or above duped, then he could be a great option against her. But I prefer to just outright damage her rather than try to bleed her out. Because I think with Star-Lord and Corvus Glaive, you can easily add DPS, to force field, and as soon as the force field is down, she becomes really quite easy. So here's a run with Aegon. I think this one from memory actually goes okay. I don't take her down completely, but I do hopefully do a fair amount of damage. So as you can see, the blue on the right is dropping. It's dropping down to 20, and hopefully in a bit it's going to come down. And now she goes invis, but she's also given me a lot of furies. And this time I had my furies on, and I knew I was gonna die straight away, but I was gonna do as much damage as I can before I died, and I get her down to 40%. So that works out pretty well with Aegon, and then I try to clean up the rest, and I think I managed to do it with Corvus Glaive. But the main 3 points here are: wait out the invis, get that force field down, and once the force field is down, then that's when you can really start to go to town, right? With the force field out, you can't really do damage. This is the state I'm talking about, where she's like invis and she doesn't really come out. Luckily she did there. And the SP1 is a little bit like Captain Marvel's SP1, so if you're used to that, it's kind of no problem. I don't do, in this run, that whole Corvus fight really didn't achieve much, because like she started the fight on 40 HP. With all the damage I did, she ended the fight at 41 HP, so it was kind of like a useless part of the fight. But I think I eventually finished this one with Star-Lord. Now the good news is I did manage to finish this quest without using a lot of pots or revives. Definitely not, didn't spend any units on them. I did have some free stuff that I used mainly just because I got to the point where I was like bored on the line or something, and I had to use one rather than me needing to. I could always revive and clear through without any pots or revives. But yeah, it was, I never got into this fight and was like, okay, cool, yep, I can one-shot her, absolutely no problem, doesn't matter what the RNG is doing, and doesn't matter which champ I'm going in with. It wasn't like that. I think I got a lot more consistent results against Namor than against Invisible Woman, but I think I managed to do pretty well with Star-Lord and Corvus Glaive and Aegon. A combination of those three tended to always yield pretty good results for me. So you'll see here, she's on Half-Life. I'm trying to stay away so I can get that weakness debuff away from me as well, and the vulnerability away from me if I can. Try to stun her, like parry her. And just try to wait and look for an opening. A little bit of this fight's about being patient as well, getting her to throw the SP1, and finding those openings with the force field, because when she's got force field on, she can play quite defensively. Also when she's got the invis, it can be quite annoying. So here I'm down to pretty low life, and I've got to play quite smart now. Throw the SB2, that almost kills her, but she's got the buffet which saves her, and that allows me to clean her out between the combination of Aegon and Star-Lord. So the main three takeaways are: watch the force field, the blue circle on the top right. Make sure that you could break that down. Once that comes down to 0, it goes away and you can go to town on her. The second thing is, when she's invisible, just hang back for a couple of seconds, the invisibility should come out. And the third thing is just keep in mind that she's got buffet, which means she will regen, I think 15% of any, maybe 5% or 15%, I can't quite remember. But also it means that some of your parries and stuff is not going to work. But so if you bring someone in that can do a lot of damage, Star-Lord, Corvus, Domino, that's going to work great. And apart from that, you can shut down her abilities with like an Awakened Gwenpool or an Awakened Archangel. Hopefully this helps you to make sure that you can take her down. You might still need a team, but hopefully you won't need that many revives. If it did help, do like, subscribe, leave a comment, and yeah, let me know how you go. I'm going to see if I can work on the other two bosses as well after this. Okay, kakite ano, bros and girls.